All right, so this is a video on how to create your own alpha in ZBrush. All right, so let's get right into it. So I got ZBrush open up here. First thing I'm going to do is changing my document aspect ratio into a square aspect ratio. All right, so I'm just going to go to Documents, turn off constraint proportion, and then I'm going to change it to 512 by 512. Click resize, click yes. There's my document. All right. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna click on this simple brush. This is my current active tool here. Just click on that, and I'm going to load in a plane 3D. Click that, draw it out, and left click and hold, draw it out. And if you hold down Shift, just gonna snap it like that. Hit T to enable edit mode, and then this is just a 3D object. In order to edit this in any way, we have to click on Make Polymesh 3D. Now our plane is a Polymesh 3D, okay? So that means we can now just switch to clay build up here, and you can sculpt on it and such. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna do is, well, I hate this red clay material, so I'm just gonna change it to matte cap gray, and I'm gonna hit F, so that will center, that will just fill my canvas with this guy, right? And what I want to do now is I can just go in and kind of start sculpting out some details, but you will see that is kind of janky because the plane is too low poly. So I gotta subdivide this. So in geometry, click divide a couple times here, it will subdivide. But you guys will notice how, see this? The corner of my plane gets rounded out the more I smooth it out, right? See that? So what I want to do is I want to turn off smoothing while I subdivide. So I'm going to subdivide it, say 3 times, right? So that means this plane right here, I can still sculpt nicely on it, but it doesn't round out my corners, okay? So I'm gonna hit F to frame it up, and while you're sculpting, sometimes you might accidentally turn your canvas like that. So what I want to do is go up to Draw and lock my camera. That means now I can't accidentally turn my camera. All right. So with that locked, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sculpt some details on there. So I'm just going to plug in my tablet here. Give me a second. Apologies for the noise. All right. So my tablet's plugged in. I am now a real 3D artist. Right. So with my tablet, I can go in here and start sculpting whatever kind of pattern or details I want, right? And the details that we, that we're doing, typically we can observe from nature, we can take pictures, we can gather photo references. So let me just go over Google here. And let's say I'm looking for just ZBrush scale alpha. So for example, these things, right? We have all sorts of surface materials. We have skin that we can sculpt. We have sort of these dragon scales. We have tree barks. We can have whatever we want. And the point of this is we can kind of sculpt our own details and make them into alphas. All right. So how do we do that? So this one. So you see all these little different patterns and things like that. So I'm gonna just pick maybe one of these guys, and let's just do that. So clay build up. I'm just gonna start maybe, and this, the alpha, it can take as long as you want, or as quick as you want. It's kind of put in, the amount of work you put in will be the amount of good result you get out, right? So I'm just gonna sculpt some light pattern here, and you guys can definitely do more details or less detailed alpha if you want. So let's say something. I'm going to do a little more. I'm going to try to at least get some nice coverage here. We don't want, however, to get to like fill out the whole thing. And, so let's say I'm done, like maybe I'll do one more row here. Let's say that's my little surface detail, and you can do as much or as little detail as you want. You can, here kind of carve these out and add some sort of secondary detail on these things. Like, depends on what kind of look and feel you're going for. If you're doing things like scales or tree barks or skin or whatever it is that you're doing, right? I'm just doing some generic one here as an example, because if I was to, let's say, actually sculpt something, the video would be maybe a bit too long. Right, so just put some details in. Maybe use the standard brush here to kind of make some ridges pop out. So again, the more time you put in, the better result you get out, right? So using the standard brush to kind of go over the lip, I guess, of the scale. I don't know what to call them, like the endpoints. It kind of further accentuate the detail a little bit, make the details pops out just a bit more, right? Let's say I'm good with this. That's gonna be my little detail. And if you guys hear that, I apologize. I closed the door to my studio to record this tutorial, and my cat is crying to be let in. I don't know why. I think he wants to learn ZBrush as well. Right, let's say I'm done with that. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Dragon scale, fish scale, snake scale, some kind of scales maybe. All right, so let's say I'm done. What's next? I'm going to go over here to brush and alpha and texture. No, where is it? Is it in alpha? 3D. I forgot where it is. Oh yeah, sorry. It's in alpha. Sorry, that took me a second there. Is under alpha, then transfer, and then just click grab doc. Okay. Just so you guys can see what it did. It made it an alpha down here, right? So you can click on that, and that's your alpha, and you can actually export your alpha and name it. So you have, if you have a folder or a thumb drive with all your custom-made alpha, you can give it a name, call it Dragon Scale 1 if you have a pack of all the different scales you've spent time sculpting, so that you can use it over and over again for all your dragon creature, right? I'm not going to do that. I just have the alpha here for one. So again, once you sculpt, alpha, grab doc, or transfer, grab doc. Okay? So now that you're done, I'm gonna load in a little ball here. Right, my alpha stay. So with the standard brush, I'm gonna change from dot stroke to drag reg, and just going to click and drag, and see how my alpha appears there. So, and I'm still got the camera lock here, so I can spin around and see that we can get our alphas in. So that's how you make custom alpha in ZBrush. Okay. And of course, this guy is a little bit blurry because the resolution of the sphere is a little low. So if I just subdivide it once or maybe twice, now we can see the detail is much sharper. And as you can see here, I started at the top, but I didn't finish all the way to the bottom. Ideally, what you want is you kind of want a region that's in the middle, right? I got lazy, so I didn't finish all the detailing to the bottom. But if I had done so, notice how when I drag this out, it's kind of dragging from the top. See where my cursor is and where the alpha start, right? If you have a thing that's kind of from the middle instead of the top, then it will kind of come out from the middle of your cursor and not the top. I hope that makes sense. All right. So another thing we can try and do is alter this just a bit further. And so, and what I'm going to do is under alpha, modify. The mid value, I'm going to crank it up to 50, right? And what that does is you can see here I'm actually going to put it all back to 0, so maybe we can see the difference. This is mid value at 0, okay? And I'm going to do it again. This is mid value at 50. See that at 50, the scale comes out a lot more. So the mid value will actually pushes the black value down further, and at the same time pull the white value up higher. So if you want your alpha to be a little bit more effective, you change the mid value volume. All right, there you go. So that is how you create your own alpha, and that is part of the surfacing lesson. Now the second half of this is vector displacement brush. So vector displacement brush is a little bit different. In alpha, when you're doing that, it's just sort of is on the surface of your skull, right? Vector displacement brush, however, I'm going to pull up one here. So let's do chisel organic, and let's see what we got. Something representational enough that it will be easy to talk about. Now, let's, wow, they don't have anything fun. Oh, wow. Let's do ears then, ear. If I drag it out, see how this ear is just getting pulled from the sphere. This is not possible with alpha, okay? So I'm going to show you guys how we can do that. I'm going to clear everything here. I'm going to make another plane. Plane 3D, where are you? There you go. And for vector displacement brush, we won't need the plane to be, the document to be a square document, okay? All we need to do is, again, make polymesh 3D. I'll turn off smoothing, divide it a couple times, right? And now, let's say I want to make something like a dragon horn or something like that. I'm going to turn on my symmetry here, turn off floor, and maybe turn off perspective as well. I'm front facing. I'm going to mask off a region like this, invert it, and I'm going to use the move brush to pull this up. Now I am very careful to move it up and out off of the surface, right? But I am very careful to not pull it out of my out of the border of the square. Okay, make sure that is not outside of the square. Oops, I did a little bit. Oops. I can do that. Let's just fix this real quick. There you go. Oh, smoothed out the transition point a little. There you go. Oh, pretty good. Now, I'm just gonna sculpt in some detail here. Maybe I'll subdivide it one more. Right, so I made a mistake there. Notice how I accidentally messed the border of this. So that is not good. We don't want the border of the piece to be messed with in any way. We only want the scope information to stay on whatever it is that we're doing. So I'm going to undo this and see where it was that step. So one thing I actually like to do that I didn't do here is I'm going to divide it one more so I have enough subdivision there. I'm actually going to mask off the border of the mesh like this. So what that lets me do is I will not have to worry about my brush stroke accidentally messing up the edge of my board, of my, yeah, I guess my canvas, my board, whatever you call it, right? So I'm just going to go in here, put in some extra detail. This is my old brush. Smooth that out. And I'm just, you know, this I'm not putting a lot of, I'm not being super careful or artistic or anything about this. I'm just kind of trying to show y'all demonstration on how the tool works. So forgive me if it kind of sucks. All right, so let's say that that's going to be one of my very meticulously made horns here. All right, that's one. And let's say I want to make a second one from this guy. I'll just duplicate it and hide the first one. And on this one, I'm going to change it a little bit. Or maybe I'll make it skinnier. And maybe a tad shorter, maybe. That. Maybe a bit more blunt and less sharp looking. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just kind of playing around here. All right. Something like that. Less details. A bit more like stubby looking, I guess. Yeah. Cool. All right. So there are my two dragon horns, whatever you want to call it. So next step, I'm going to turn them both on and make sure they are front facing. And what I want to do is before I create the brush, I want to make sure that I am in my brush palette here, I want to make sure that I am using a chisel brush, okay? So if on your keyboard you type in B, then C, you see the top, what is it, 5 or whatever brush, 6? The top 6 brushes, these are all chisel brushes, okay? So let's say you do select H here, that's your classic chisel brush. I know we haven't covered chisel brush yet in class. It's because we haven't really had the need to, but now we do. So with your chisel brush selected, right, click on the brush menu again, and then click on Create Multi-Alpha Brush. Okay, if you click that, your chisel brush is now has turned into these guys. 1, 2. So back on my Dynawax here, I can select this guy. Oops, sorry. Make sure you change it from freehand to drag rect, right? And by default, the chisel brush is Z sub, so see how it goes inward. If you change it to Z add, we can start getting some details in. See that? So that's how, I guess in the end it starts looking like more like fur than it does horns. But that's okay. So that's how we can use we can make our own vector displacement brush. Okay. Oops. And one thing I want y'all to keep in mind is notice the way this brush is this alpha is going. It's going when I drag it out, right? It's reading from here to there. So if you want to do this sort of layering effect, right? Let's say you have, this is the stroke and you want it to end like here, like this, right? You have to start here and then work your way backward, which might be a little bit counterintuitive for some folks. But that's how it's done, just because the way the alpha is pointing. And this works pretty well, like the shingling effect, right? If you were to do it the other way, let's do it like start this one here, and then let's say here and do it, see what happens. The alpha because when you drag the vector displacement out, it sees what's up here and start affecting it as well. Right? We don't want that. So you have to do it the other way around. I hope that makes sense. All right. So the more time and effort you put in sculpting these, the better result you can get out of them. And you can build your own sort of brush libraries and use these. So like, I mean, I originally intended these as horns, but they're turning out more like furs than horns, and that's okay, I guess. You can definitely build your own libraries and use these, as creatively as you wish. So lastly is how to save them, because if we look at our chisel brush is now this. We don't want to lose our chisel brush. So what we can do is in our brush here, we can go to Save As, and we can save this brush out as a sort of ZBP, which is it's sort of a ZBrush brush palette. So, and where can you save these? You can save these directly in your ZBrush brush palette. So usually it should be under, let's see, documents maybe. You know what? It's not there. Go to this PC, users, public document, ZBrush data 2025. Oh, you know what? It's not there. Shoot, sorry. It probably in C, program files, and this is going to be Maxon ZBrush 2025, ZBrushes, right? And you can make a new folder within this ZBrushes folder. You can make a new one called, I can call it like Hui vector displacement brush or something and save them out in there. So the next time, so I'm gonna make it right now. Why not? New folder. Okay. In there. I'm gonna call this one test 01. Save. Okay. And then I'm gonna go back to my brush palette here and click reset all brushes. So now my chisel is back to the normal chisel brush. I'm gonna close out of ZBrush here. Open up ZBrush 2025. Make sure to not open ZBrush 2022. I have both installed. Wait a second for 2025 to open. Lately, I've noticed that 2025 opens slower than 2022. I don't know why, but that's the case. So I just loaded up this Dinosphere here and did the chisel brush that I just saved. It should be under Lightbox, Brush, and we gotta go hunt for it. It's here somewhere. My brush, Hui brush example. There you go. Oops. Select the alpha. There it is. Okay. So that's how you can build up a brush libraries that suits your need in both alphas and VDM, vector displacement brush. Okay. I hope that was helpful, and sorry for some of the weird delay from ZBrush just like opening and closing and things like that. But anyway, I hope that was helpful. Yeah, bye-bye.